with the come on, get down with the get down. Come on with the come on, get down with the get down.
Come on and get down with that artifact sound. Where kids get wrecking, the beats bound to pound. We're strolling through the industry, BC. We gotta be the next shit that kicks, cause brothers ain't got it. In this rap shit, ain't no time for the dilly-dally pally. Throw a match in the gasoline alley. Blew up mad spots, kids were jealous for the props. See the shit never stops, hops just lick up on my deals. Knock styles we make, never fake. Broke breaks in every crate. Old freestyles and dirty ass copied over tapes. Notify that the artifacts never slack while cruisers on stage whack. We just played the back. Now the flip, tip a ripper, split you with the picture. On cruise, so never pay dues. Watch it for I get ya. Cause nowadays it's the ways of the underground, but they're whack now. So come on with the get down.
Come on with the come on, get down with the get down. Come on with the come on, get down with the get down. Come on with the come on, get down with the
Can't believe it. Yeah, Elder Sensei.
Oh man, thank you for having me.
I always call you El Sensei. I always forget duh.
Look, it's funny when I'm over there, they say Elder. They think Elder is my first name.
Elder.
And then Sensei is the last name.
No, I just say Sensei. Some people call you Sensei. Some people call you El
Yeah,
Sensei.
a lot of people call me El.
Or some people call you like EDS.
Nah, that's the first time I
No,
heard that.
first time?
Yeah.
EDS. Way easy. Because at first I couldn't spell Sensei. I'm like, how you spell Sensei?
Yeah, and then at first they were spelling that wrong too.
They just put S-A-Y then S-I.
S-A-I. When I first went over there, they saw the promo picture like, you know, your name you spelled wrong. It's Sensei right now.
So how's 2025 treating you?
Check out, man. 2012 is really good right now. I can't complain. You know, work is coming, and that's the most important thing. New album out. Me and my brother MENTPLUS. So I'm grateful for that.
Project.
The Unexpected.
Yeah, Unexpected. Yeah. So let's go back a bit. First of all, before I even start, artifacts. Is it artifact or just artifacts?
Artifacts, yeah.
Now, where did that name come from?
So Artifacts, we actually wasn't called Artifacts when we got signed. We was called That's Them at first. We had our first meeting with Atlantic, Big Beat Atlantic, and they asked us, okay, what's the name of the group? Because we got our deal strictly from being on Stretch Armstrong and Bobbito show. And when we got the deal secured, first meeting, what's the name of the group? That's Them. Yeah, y'all gonna have to work on that. Let's see, you know, y'all come up with something else. So we looking at each other, leaving the meeting, and we like, wow, like, what we gonna do? We got the names just off of showing up at auditions, and people seeing us. Oh, that's them dudes right there. They, you know, they just knowing about us that way. So we went back home, going back to Jersey, and I looked at Tame, and I don't know why this came over me, but I was like, yo, Artifacts. And he was like, now, of course, we ain't got no phones. Back then, there wasn't no Google. So we get back to the crib, and, of course, we knew what it meant, but we had to see it in writing. So Artifacts is anything from ancient times brought to newer times to study and analyze and, you know, get historical, you know, from it. And I said, wow, we still B-boys. We do graffiti. At this time in 92, 93, it wasn't a lot of hip-hop that was like, you know, back in the day, whether it be B-boying or graffiti artists. It was, hip-hop was at a crossroads with that. So we came back to the label for the next meeting, and we was comfortable, you know, because we already knew what it was. And we was waiting for them to ask us, and as soon as they said it was like Artifacts, we sat back. And the lady said, okay, that might work. Now, let's go over here in this other room and go through the computer so we can make sure there's no other hip-hop group with that name. So that's how Artifacts.
So they had to look it up and make sure.
Yeah, and thankfully it wasn't.
Oh, did you get offers from like different labels, like Tommy Boy or Payday?
Nah, and that's very fortunate as well. You know, we didn't have to go through the listen to my demo phase. And that was from us, you know, being on Stretch and Bob. You know, New York with Stretch and Bob was on fire every Thursday, 1 o'clock to 5 a.m.
WKCR.
Yes, indeed, Columbia University, and we went up there. Tame won a battle on the phone 1 week. Then the next week, I went on and did the same thing, but it didn't matter what I did because Tame already had secured it. So we go up there for 15 minutes. We rapped on this Zulu war chant record, and that was me and Tame introduction to New York itself, let alone just being up there with them. People was calling up while we was rocking, because like they were like, who them dudes up there? And then after it was over, just so happened we knew Bob worked at Def Jam at the time, but we didn't know Stretch had worked at Atlantic, which he was working with my man Rob Tulo. And after that one radio show, they just like, take our numbers, and they kept in contact with us, and we just didn't know that we was meeting people that was gonna groom us to actually get a deal. So we didn't have to get shopped around. Reef was right there with Stretch, so they took us to Atlantic, and which is funny because when you look at Nas' story of how he began, and he was working with Search and a few other people that were working with Nas was shopping him around. And he almost signed to Big Beat Atlantic, and it was only because they had got a hip-hop division, and we had got signed. Okay. And we had got signed at a time where there's a lot of people getting shopped around at that time. So it was kind of funny when I look at his documentary of some sort and see that he was almost on the same path as us.
Yeah.
So, and he didn't have to go to a whole bunch of other labels either. He had a few people he worked with, and that was what was happening to us. So, that's how we, began and didn't have to go through all the, I'm glad we didn't have to do that. I didn't want to have no stories of like songs I heard, so that was good that we had got that.
Okay, so let's go back to the radio stations. I remember when you said radio station, I thought of the Awesome 2 radio show.
Right.
Half Pint Show. And there was like another one, I think it was every Wednesday or if not every Saturday from 12 to 4, 5 in the morning.
I know it was Pirate Radio was on 105.
Oh yeah, Pirate Radio.
Red Bandit was on there. But definitely DNA, Hank Love was first, and then also Half Pint one after that. Yeah. And that's where like a lot of people don't realize it was a beauty salon called Billie Jean's, and then they like Ghostface had made a reference to that show because of that, because it was like a weekly commercial, and all the girls would go there, dudes go out, you hear them talk about barbershops, and that's when they was talking about the Jersey fade, and this one we didn't realize people in Brooklyn was getting the haircut we had in Jersey. But you listen to Hank Love and them, and they would tell you where to go get it from, as far as the haircut. So like that was, and only reason why you knew about them because you was up late.
Yeah, because I was
on a Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, because I would normally stay up. It was Saturday from, I think it was from 12. Because it was
it started at 12, and then it'd be over like 5.
Yeah, 5 in the morning.
Even Molly had a show on 105 at one time.
Yeah, he
had the Pirate Radio show too.
Yeah, Molly had one. That station, that Columbia station, they had another show too, besides Stretch Armstrong.
Right, because they stretching them started at Skinny Bones. Like it wasn't even called Stretch Armstrong. He had a whole other name, and then that's when he turned into Stretch Armstrong, and that's when he met Bob. Even with Bob, if you ever hear anybody say DJ Cucumber Slice, that's Bobito.
Yeah.
So that's when he started DJing.
Okay. And how was the room, that radio station?
Man, hey, I will say this: I've been up to Columbia a lot of times, and a lot of times with other artists I've met there. We met Hieroglyphics there the first time we went. Time we went up there, we met Pep Love, and then Pep told us that they was coming the next week. We came back and met the whole Hyro at Bob's show. A lot of cats, but the energy in the room, and I don't think that back then we thought about it in a way of like having pressure to spit. You know what I'm saying? It was, but as the years went on, because more people started coming, Biggie went up there. Nas went up there maybe like once or twice. Jay-Z went up there, Big L. So like we went up there early. So once people found out cats was getting deals going up there, everybody started going.
Oh, so that's why.
So,
Okay, I see.
if you ever watched, they got actually a documentary for the radio show.
I seen it.
Right. So if you looked at that movie, that's what it was like in the room. Anytime you came in there, because of how it built up, you had to go in there knowing that you got to perform and do your thing.
And that reminded me of in the doc, I think it was about cassettes. That they would get cassette tapes, like cassettes, like every night, a whole bunch, more than the usual cassette. Yeah. And they would have, some of them they listen to, some of them they skip through, which is so
Trust
crazy.
me, I was up there at a time where it was just big hefty bags of tapes in there, and Stretch showed me. I was like, wow.
Oh.
And this was like I said, at a time where people was figuring out this is where you get hurt. And so they started sending their demos in. And, it's just like my man Eclipse on halftime radio. It's hard for them to get a lot of these tapes or CDs or whatever and listen to everything. And then this is when the comedic part of the show started coming, because they would start playing a lot of these demos. And it was like hilarious, like the stuff they would play. And that's when the show got even more like intricate with playing music, playing demos, and then still have dudes come up to freestyle too. So that was like the range that they had. You know what I'm saying? They had New York until even when they went to Hot 97. It was even though it was a little different, it was still the same packaging.
So to me, I think it was way better at the pirate radio than Hot 97, because Hot 97 was like, you could tell it wasn't organic.
Nah, you know what I'm saying? And see, that's how it works when you try to get it to the masses. Stretch and Bob was something that you found on your own, but then when you did find it and you was part of a collective of people, that like whether you was at work, whether you with your friends. I was going to work in the morning on Thursday, going to work on Friday, and I would have to buy 120-minute tapes because I knew that I would probably fall asleep.
Yeah.
At least if you and you won't hear that pop every time when the tape stopped. So if you missed that, hopefully you got one side. If you see that you ain't turning it over, you got to call one of your friends like, yo, did you listen to the whole show? Like, yeah, and then they probably had a 120-minute tape. So, and all because, even from the time we started going up there till we made our records, I always listened, even when they was off. My man, Susio, he was up there at 89, and the tradition was still going. So, but like I said, you was making records, and then you would hope to hear them play it because you knew they was an underground station to go to.
It's like, to me, I felt like it was like the Billboard radios at that time.
Yeah, for everybody. Like, trust me, everybody you can name underground wise was up there.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, everybody. I think even I'm not even sure if they had any West Coast or Midwest artists on there.
Besides Hyro, yes, a lot of cats came through there. Not a lot of mainstream people, but I would say like as the shows went on later, before they even went to Hot 97, like this is when Jay-Z would go up there and Redman went up there, and then it was dope that these people started going because we all was the whole underground massive them been there, so it was good that they started getting more notoriety and more heavyweights to come. So that just showed that they was more official even throughout the world. Yeah,
it kind of put a stamp on that brand.
Right.
So you signed a Big Beat, because I heard of Big Beat before.
Yes, indeed.
But how big was Big Beat?
Big Beat started off as a house label, and at the time their biggest record was Robin S. So that was who they were. They were like a breakbeat record label. They had a group called the Nubian Crackers.
Okay.
And these two dudes, they put break records out, and that's when me and Tane got our first record out, was with them, and we got a song called "Do You Want to Hear It?"
Okay.
And that's the first time anybody heard Artifacts was on the Nubian Cracker record, and we didn't even get signed yet, but we was on our way to doing it. But we was having that's when we was having the meetings. But we did a song with them because they were artists on that label, and they figured they already on here. Let's put y'all with them. And then as the years went on, Double X Posse was on there. Double X was the first hip hop group I seen on there, and then we came.
Okay.
And then later on, like my man Sean J. Period, he had a group called Down South. Then Skills came. So definitely, Big B was a small imprint, but was on their way to doing other stuff. So that's when the hip hop stuff came, and we was a part of that. So that's. It wasn't like we knew we wasn't going to a Def Jam. We knew we wasn't going to like Loud Records or something. But we helped turn the label that was a house record label into a hip hop imprint.
Yeah, I mean, Big B. Because when I think of Big B, I think of Atlantic automatically.
Right. Look at even Junior Mafia was on there. Little Kim, being on Atlantic.
Yeah, being on Atlantic on the Atlantic side.
Because Atlantic actually Big B got sucked in, and then it was. No more, but it was like now it was just totally just Atlantic.
Yeah, why is that?
Sometimes it happens, like where you have a smaller label and if it ain't, I won't say doing as good, they usually just, with different mergers, they just bring it in. And they brought it under the Atlantic umbrella. It was just Big B as an independent label, but powered through Atlantic. But then Atlantic got, they said, let's just bring it on. And we'll just release their records in a bigger way. Okay. And that's when we did the second album. So.
All right. I mean, Atlantic is still big right now.
Right, even to this day. Right?
To this day. Atlantic is even bigger than Def Jam.
Yep.
Because I think it was the other way around, where Def Jam was just bubbling.
Oh, yeah.
Back
definitely.
Then.
That's when they had the thing called Warner Brothers Electra Atlantic.
Yeah.
And, it's still, now it's just Warner. Atlantic is there, but it's Warner Brothers now.
Yeah, Warner Brothers, everything fall under that umbrella.
Indeed.
Yeah, with the smaller labels. I remember back then they had all these smaller labels, like real boutique labels.
Right.
Like Stepson, or is it Stetson?
Yep.
I think it was by the attorney, the big black guy, right? He started Billy Stepson, I think that was his name. And you see all these small boutique labels, then out of nowhere it's like, there's no more. It's like
Ruckus was like that.
Yeah, Ruckus. Yeah, Ruckus was another one too. Ruckus was like a great label.
Yeah. And it's like sometimes, I don't know if we can curse. Sometimes shit get too big for your ass. And, you want to be like a Def Jam. You want to be in with the big boys. But what come with that is a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
And the artists seem to look at it as like, okay, where my money at? Where this money at? So, this is what happened to Ruckus, where they try to be a machine that was like everything else rather than staying in their lane and being just the underground hip hop label.
Yeah, at some point, Ruckus got away from being backpack and it was going more towards the mainstream.
Right.
And when they did, and you kind of see they lose that value of Ruckus from the beginning. It's like, I understand we're trying to evolve and change with the time, but I feel like they just did it too fast.
And you got to think, they would compete with a lot of other labels. When you look at Loud was an independent label.
Yeah.
That was powered through a big label. You got somebody that actually believed in what they was doing.
And Loud was like powerhouse.
Exactly. And when you take chances like he did on certain groups that he signed, it worked out for him.
Yeah.
So, and it was like same thing for Atlantic, you know what I'm saying? Where later on, after we left, they have Lupe come, and Lupe was not too far from where we from. But when you talk about Lupe, you see how he is. One thing about Atlantic that's been like the issue with they won't let an underground artist be an underground artist because they are Atlantic. So when you talk about having me and Tame on there, we was the most rapidy rap group they ever had. Like on there, like as far as we were on a mainstream label as an underground act, and there were a lot of other labels that was like that too. And what happened with the big boys, we wasn't selling enough records,
enough units,
for them to keep us on there. Where most of the time, these people were looking at us like we were tax write-offs. It might work, might not work. But we get even, we get even. But then, as you noticed, late 90s changed and all this stuff went where like it was to be independent back then was like almost like you don't want to be because it was these labels. I was glad when we got off Atlantic. I was like, okay, now I can go to where I'm supposed to be at. I can go to Fat Beats, put records in their stores, work with Fat Beats, work with all these independent labels, and that's where I learned how to swim.
See, the thing with Fat Beats, right? It's like the thing about being independent back then. It's like you had to press to know how many CDs or how many vinyls, how many cassettes to press up,
right?
And just have enough for your promo and enough for the retail stores, which was a lot of work back then.
Right. See, but this is when you got all the labels. This is when it was just mostly vinyl, and then the CDs came. Then the vinyl went away. Then CDs doing their thing. Then digital come. Tapes and CDs go away. And then you're now in this digital world. And where we at now? Going backwards. And again, now we're going back to the vinyl. The vinyl been growing over the last 10 years. And not just underground artists are pressing late records up now. You go, Taylor Swift got vinyl. Adele got vinyl. You know, it's you still got to tap in to this medium because with the digital shit, it hit the ceiling. You know, shit can't be so clean where it's like, you know, after a while, you're like, yo, I miss the dirt. Yeah. And this is where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? Where I say this to people, it's funny to them, but it's still the truth. We living in a digital age, but we all from the analog. So in this market, you have to have USB turntables, USB boombox, USB everything, because we're going back to a time when these kids growing up now, when they see a record player and they like, damn, what's that? I'm like, oh my God. Like you see movies or a TV show where people see a rotary phone, they're like, how do you use it? There's no button to press. We're in this age where when you watch Jurassic Park movies, I say this makes sense. Think about it. Okay. When they had Jurassic World movie, they had that new dinosaur. It's a hybrid, mixed him up with all these different other animals. I don't care, cloaking device, all these different, you know, and even the raptor. And toward the end of the movie, the girl called the dude, like, open up the cage. What they had to do? Go get the old dinosaur to fight the new dinosaur. Well, that is what's happening right now. Underground artists that's older are living in the digital world and surviving, doing shows, putting out records, and the young cats that was popping a couple of years ago ain't popping now. And because the digital age is working for the old dinosaurs, it's hard to kill the old dinosaur. So to get the old dinosaur to come out to fight the new dinosaur, it took the T-Rex, it took the raptor, and it took the monster in the water to bring him down. So when you talk about the generation we in now, it's funny that you have to mix the old with the new. This is the bridge that we've been trying to connect for a lot of years, where you got the young cats feel like the older dinosaurs don't want to mess with them. We telling them, no, we want to, but y'all gotta understand where we coming from and why we want y'all to still use the formulas and tools that we use to today. And when you look at certain artists like Kendrick, you look at J. Cole, and you look at Drake, of course, these are the three main acts right now that was over the last few years running everything. In some way, too, they have to come together because it can't be this separate when you got all these different genres and artists and music. Cause these are the most three lyrical dudes in this generation. They grew up around the old dinosaurs, so they understand what it is. Yeah, and they understand lyrics. And they understand to be lyrical, but they're all being lyrical in a way for themselves to be where they want to be. It's just that Kendrick just so happened got sucked into something that he probably didn't think he was going to do. And he said, wow, you know what? I made all these other songs right here, all this other stuff over here. And I saw him write something and say, this is where I didn't want to be at as far as the music I wanted to make. Like I wanted to stay far away from that, but because I'm where I'm at, he embraced it.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm saying I could name a few artists over the years that had that same quality. Red Cafe.
Okay.
This dude, we know who he is. He was like a mini version of Jay-Z, but it's just that when you don't have the big machine behind you, he's still probably doing this thing today. I see him doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just that when these sprinkles come, you have to, it's like lightning in a bottle for everybody. You got to take the chance when you got it. So we've had, and now we're here. We're here now. Like I said, there's a lot of older artists making a lot more music and putting it out than a lot of the younger cats over the last few years. So this is a testament to, to the craft and the culture. And as an older person, you're still looking for that style of music. So you have dudes like Elzai. You have dudes like my man Fat Cat, Detroit. Detroit always gonna win, but it's just like you look for new artists to bring that quality. And sometimes it's not as many people, artist-wise, that's keeping the torch lit.
No, I understand what you mean. It's like, see, I like when I see that. It's like they keep true to the craft,
right,
and to the culture, and without. I mean, you can water it down, but not all the way completely.
Because even the little dudes feel like Kendrick too lyrical for them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, when I hear that, I'm like, wow, like that's crazy because he's in y'all age range, and y'all think he too deep. I'm like, but a person like me was like, yo, at least I have something to grasp onto.
Yeah,
that's kind of like what I grew up with. So
and I would listen
deal
to it.
with it.
Yeah,
right?
You're right. It's like my nephew. It's like he'll listen. I'm like, you like Kendrick? He's like, no.
Why he say that?
Like you said, it's like the lyric.
It's
like too.
It's over his head.
I'm like, what is about the lyric you understand? He's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. It's like he's always saying this. It doesn't make sense. His voice changed.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just his style. He's like, you can't pass it.
Yeah, but I'll tell him. But you can tell him, like, if he wasn't like that now today, he could be today in our time back then. Yeah, and still be the same person, and we would get it. Just like when De La Soul came out, we couldn't understand what they were saying at first, but it was just like, oh, just the words are bigger. Yeah, and you got to know what them words mean to understand what they're talking about, to put them together. So this is, Kendrick is that kind of artist. So that's why he get a lot of older dudes to mess with him.
I like that. Yeah, I like when they bridge the gap between old and young, young and old.
That's what you get, like, because the older people now, we at a point where we're like, yo, just give me something. Give me something reminiscent of what, even if it's an older person who's not so into hip hop today. Because I tell all my friends, like, yo, if y'all not into it like you used to, guess what? This dude's still making records. These dudes making records. And then until they go on Google and check it, oh, wow, that's because you out of the loop. Yeah. They not out of the loop. It's you. Because they can't seem to find where the new stuff at. But it's all in their phone.
Yeah, you're right. Because when I look for rappers, like I look for like 90s style hip hop rap. And so once you click on a few, the rest will just come automatically.
Right. Because of the style, it's like people still don't understand the algorithm on IG. They don't know why they getting certain videos come up, because when you like something, that thing that you like, now that thing that's like that thing you like gonna keep coming in your feed, and then until you like something else, and then they're like, oh wow, that's how it works. Like that's how when you like stuff. Even when I had to understand when I'm on my Google and I'm looking at stuff, and I'm like, oh, then I go on Instagram. Everything I just looked at in Google is in my Instagram. Like, hey, yo, it's like magic, but it's not. Yeah. It's just what I just understand that everything in this entertainment industry is connected in some kind of way, but it's going to connect you to what you go for.
Yeah, and what you're looking for.
Exactly. Too. So they'll, like you said, you can play on YouTube right now, 90s video, and then you just get all 90s videos all on the stream. When you start looking at the videos, everyone that come up, you can play one of my videos today, and surprisingly, it'll go to a Sky Zoo video afterwards. Yeah, it'll go to a Griselda, because they feel like, hey, it's in that range. No different than when I put my music on Apple. So this new album that we have out right now, The Unexpected, when they put it on the playlist, it's in the Flowetry playlist, it's in the Bars playlist. And when you go on the Bars playlist, who in there? All the underground dudes is in there. But it's everybody. not just a mainstream or underground, because now the playing field is so even. We're all able to get on Apple now, where when before you were just on a mainstream label, and because you on a mainstream label, they would pick you up. Go on Tidal. I got records on Tidal. I got records on everything. But it's just the fact that if you're not making current music, you won't be on the current playlist. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And when it's like you look at the playlist, and the Flowetry playlist is for MCs that's thought-provoking, deep. Yeah. I don't like this term, but they say lo-fi. 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 I mean, I don't like.
Oh yeah, I don't like that.
I don't know what that is. Y'all, hey, people out there, when y'all watch me say this, I don't know what y'all talking about. Is it low? When y'all say lo-fi, y'all might as well say J Dilla, because that's what all the beats sound like. A lot of and that's the algorithm when the chill beats. And all they say, oh, lo-fi, yeah, classics. I'm like, no, that's just how Tribe Called Quest music used to sound, and all of us at a certain time. But it's just today they're gonna term it that. We got all these different terms back. How they underground hip hop, backpack hip hop, boom bap. Oh man, there's so many different. You can label it whatever. Do you? But when it comes to the sound of it, to that page of people, new people today, lo-fi is boom bap, y'all. Lo-fi is underground hip hop. It's just they change the names every couple of years, because people growing up to hip hop. So when you started off as a kid, if your uncle, your father, brother was playing these MCs back then, and like my son, 21, it bugs me out that J Live is one of his favorite artists. Oh, J Live. I'm telling him J Live, my friend. But he remembered me playing J Live records as a kid. Oh, okay. So now that he's older, he's able to take it upon himself to go into this world to figure, and I sometimes hear him singing stuff. And I'm like, yes, because you're like dad. So you're not going to go the wrong way. But he don't like a lot of new stuff, because he like everybody, Smith & Wesson, anything Smith & Wesson new, KRS new, Pharoah Monch new, but they're older artists. And
the funny thing is they all actually have a solid fan base. Right. And every one of them have the core fan base.
Yep. But for some reason, he latched onto it through me, no different than the video games. But it's just that whatever he got out of it, he got it in a way of where he understands that this is how my dad does music too. So his friends listen to my music. This is where we at, bridging the gap with these kids, how it got to start.
I think it's the energy too. It's like when you listen to like Smith & Wesson or Wu-Tang or you or whoever, it's like you get a different energy, a different vibe from listening to somebody on the radio.
Right, and you believe us more than the radio cast. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because they know we're not coming from one place. You know what I'm saying? We coming from a lot of different places as far as an MC as MCing goes. Yeah. And when you're good at it, you're able to adapt. You're able to make certain songs and still come back to be rappity rap too. And I say that a lot because I always feel like today, it's like how you dude felt about Kendrick, and that's rappity rap. Like rappity rap, when you overdoing it to somebody who don't understand the rappity rap stuff, they just feel like, yo, this shit is like, wow, it's a lot to take in. Yeah, a lot of words, a lot of flows. But this is the average person who just don't know. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's easy to, I tell dudes to go look at every documentary you could look at, all the beef documentaries, those are the ones you'll learn from, rather than watching the reality shows. Because you got to understand, these kids growing up with their artists that go from music to TV, and it's not as substantial. So they watching train wrecks all day until they get with somebody that one friend that don't do all that shit, and that one friend play all this other stuff, and you ain't into. You hang with him long enough, he'll have you listening to that stuff too. Yeah, they're like, oh wow, and then you be turned on. That's how it works. Even weirdly today.
more electricity compiled into a taser. Spit laser, set on stunners or phasers. Moves all major for greater papers and danger. All MCs fall now, kill yourself, save time. Stab by the saber, die slow like a native crime. Beta rhymes get you hooked like morphine. Like Little House episodes, still is haunting. Been exhausting, using lines for dental flossing. While mine's decked out and shine, glistening and costing. Shit is scorching, with dialogue more important. Like daily news reporting, all listeners precaution. That you getting crime grit, foundation built on. Ground floor pounds up, heat never lukewarm.
It's been a long time, maybe too long, since your audio produced a real rap song.
Bring us on once again, spitting the raw in your atmosphere.
It's that rap phenomenon.
The upper echelon.
Doing that to ill, speaking from the east. This is how it is.
Every word is